welcome to Pilates. We're going to do a half an hour stretch and control session today, so hope you enjoy it. Let's get started. So we're going to just come in, feet together, up nice and tall, and then just want you to take your toes out, heels out, so your feet are hip width apart, and then just gently taking weight forward through the toes, backward through the heels, so you're just going to feel that weight transfer backwards and forwards, and just working through that range, then coming to that midpoint where you're nice and equal through both areas of the feet, and then gently coming side to side. So just feeling again that weight one side and the other, and then coming to that midpoint. So from there, you're going to be up nice and tall through the legs. So I want you to keep your knees soft, so make sure your knees aren't locked out but nice and relaxed. Then you're going to think about your pelvis like a big bowl, marble at the bottom, and I just want you to get some movement through that bowl, arching and hollowing through the lower spine, rolling that marble backwards and forwards, and just getting a little bit of movement through that lower spine, trying to keep your upper body as still as you can. And then we're going to come to that nice neutral position where your marble's at the bottom of the bowl, pelvis nice and neutral. And then from there we're going to stack that spine up nice and long through the back of the spine. So imagine the back of your spine lengthening all the way through between your shoulder blades, back of the neck, crown of the head. And then from there we're just going to come into toy soldier. So we're going to engage through those core muscles, bring your hands up to shoulder height, take a breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to lift opposite heel, opposite arm. Breathing out, breathing in as you come back. Breathing out and in as you come back. Good. Keeping that control through your spine, so making sure your spine's not moving, but you're nice and long through the spine, core switched on, and just doing opposite heel, opposite arm. Good. Let's do one more on either side. Good, well done. And relax down. Okay, and then from there, bring those feet hip width apart again. Drop those shoulders down. Keep that pelvis nice and neutral, core switched on. We're just going to do some arm openings, so keep the knees soft. Going to try keep everything from the pelvis down, pointing forward. So you're not going to twist anything from the pelvis down, you're just going to twist through the upper part of the spine. So arms out in front, palms together, and we're going to open up. Keep the pelvis still. Just open up one arm back behind you, twist a little bit through the upper spine, and then coming through to the front. Breathing in. Good. Breathing out. Breathing in. And you can look at that thumb and look at where the arm is going. Get the rotation through the neck as well. But keep that pelvis pointing forward. So just make sure that as you twist, to start with, we'll do a few with the weight with the pelvis in a minute, but just to start with, just when you're opening up through the spine. Good. Okay, and then we'll do one more either side, and then we're going to start rotating through the pelvis as well. So you're going to allow that pelvis to twist. So as you open up, you twist all the way through, and the feet stay still, but you're opening up through the whole body, coming back through to the center, same the other side. So twisting through, get rotation all the way through the spine. Look at where that hand's going, feet stay still, everything else opens up to twist to that side. Good. Do one more to either side. Last one. Good. And then relax your arms down. Good, well done. So from there, I'm going to get you to stand on your right leg, cross your left leg in front. And then we're going to stick that right hip out to the side and reach your left fingertips down towards the floor. Then you're going to reach your arm up and over, and just open up through that whole right side of the body. Good. one more breath in, and then gently coming over. We'll uncross the legs, stand on your left leg, cross your right in front. This time we're going to stick that left hip out to side, right fingertips towards the floor, take that arm up and over. Good. A big stretch through the left side of the body. Good, just hold it for one more breath, and then we'll gently come up and over. Good. And then from there, we're going to bring the feet wide. So go with what you feel comfortable with. If you'd rather just do this, feet together, or feet hip width apart, that's absolutely fine. But if you're happy to get a bit more of a stretch, we're going to go feet wide. Keep them pointing forwards, and make sure that you've got equal weight through the outer and inner edge of the foot. So make sure you're not lifting up one side or the other, but you're keeping those feet flat. Again, making sure you're nice and neutral through the pelvis, soft knees, lengthen through the spine, shoulders down. And then from there, we're going to do a roll down. So we're going to keep that pelvis up tall for as long as possible and work through each vertebrae one at a time. So we're going to start chin to chest, and then rolling chin down towards the breastbone. Keep that pelvis up tall for as long as possible. And then just feeling each vertebrae one at a time, roll forward on top of the one below. And when you can't go any further, then tip the pelvis forward and come down into your forward fold. And then we're going to stack up pelvis first. So imagine you've got a tail, tuck it between your legs first, opening up through the lower spine, and then stacking one vertebra at a time as you come up nice and tall. Good. And again, chin tucking into the neck. Rolling down to the chest, sinking down to the breastbone. Keep that pelvis up tall for as long as possible. And then rolling through one vertebra at a time. Tip the pelvis forward when you can't go any further. Coming down into that forward fold. And then stacking up pelvis first. Good, and again. Chin into neck, down to chest, rolling down to the breastbone, core switched on, one vertebra at a time, rolling through. And then stacking up one vertebra at a time. Good. Let's do one more. Rolling down, nice and controlled. When you get to the bottom of that movement, just pause there. So really think about that segmental movement through the spine. And then once you're done, just hold that stretch. And we're just gently going to take both hands across towards one leg. Just take a couple of more breaths in there. And then gently bring your hands back through to the centre, cross to the other side. Good. And then gently come back to the centre. We're going to just soften the knees and then roll the spine up. Well done. And then once you're there, we'll just gently heel toe those feet in together. And we're going to come down onto the mat. So from this position, we're just going to start up with a little bit of abdominal warm-up and starting firing up through those core muscles. So just make sure that the pelvis, we'll come to the pelvis in a minute. Make sure that the neck is nice and long through the back of the neck. So make sure that chin's not pointing up towards the ceiling. Likewise, not down onto your chest, but just so you've got enough gap for an orange in between chin and chest. Those shoulders are snuggled down away from your ears underneath the rib cage. We're going to lift the hips up and then come down onto the mat, and make sure that your feet are in line with knees and hips. So from there, I'm just going to get you to imagine that marshmallow directly underneath your belly button between spine and mat, and 2p coin directly underneath breastbone between spine and mat, and I'm just going to get you to squash down onto them so you shorten the tummy, push your back down into that marshmallow 2p coin, and then lifting up and away from them, so you can just slide your fingers underneath your waist and the mat, and then squash down again. Good, and then lift up and away, arching away from the marshmallow 2p coin. Then we're going to come down so that your breastbone's in contact with that 2p coin on between your spine and the mat, and you're at least halfway onto that marshmallow, or maybe a little bit more if you know that you tend to arch through that lower back when you start working. Keep that belly button down so you're keeping that pressure onto that marshmallow. And I just want you to take a bit of a note of what you feel of your back down onto the mat and the pressure you feel there. We're going to try and keep it the same as we start working. So hands by your side. We're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to engage through the core muscles, pulling up through the pelvic floor, down through the belly button. Breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to float one leg to tabletop. Good. Breath in. As you breathe out, if you're happy to, bring the other leg up to join it. If not, keep that second leg on the floor. Breath in. As you breathe out, just going to float the hands just an inch or so off the mat and gently pulse them by your side. Keep the collarbones wide, shoulders relaxed. I'm going to keep that pressure down onto that marshmallow there. So you can either hold it here. If you just got one leg up, then hold it for 5 breaths, lower down, and then you can bring that other leg up to repeat that 5 breaths on that side. But if you're up in tabletop, then what we can do is just lengthen one leg away. I'm going to hold it there. Keep breathing. Keep that pressure down on the marshmallow. If you feel like you're creeping off the marshmallow, point slightly higher towards the ceiling, or don't straighten the leg all the way. One more breath in there. And then we'll float that leg back to tabletop. Breath in. So you breathe out, lengthen the other leg to join. Come back into that position. Sorry, not very clear today. Do what I do rather than what I say. Sometimes you have days like that, don't you, when you just can't quite get your words out right. One more breath in there, and as you breathe out, float back to tabletop. Relax your arms down, and just then hug those knees in towards your chest. Good. And then if you pop your hands onto your knees and have a big circle, just loosening off through that lower back. Good. And then go back in the other direction with those circles. Good. And just hug knees into chest one more time. Good. And then lower one leg to the floor and bring the other one down to join it. Good. So from there, we're then going to come into double leg stretch. So again, you can either do this feet on the floor if you're happy to, and work from this position, or we can come into the tabletop. So work at a level that you're happy with. Don't push through anything that doesn't feel right. We're going to lengthen through the back of the neck. Drop those shoulder blades down. Pelvis nice and neutral on that marshmallow, that 2p coin. We're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, engage through those core muscles. Breath in. As you breathe out, if you're happy to float to tabletop with one leg, breath in. As you breathe out, bring the other leg to join it, floating both arms straight up towards the ceiling. So from here, breath in. As you breathe out, lengthen one leg, both arms away. Circle the arms around as you float the leg back in. Breathing out, lengthening. Breathing in, circling round. So your arms are doing 2 big semicircles, back to back, and you're just alternating one leg lengthening, coming back in. But you're keeping that pressure down on that 2p coin, that marshmallow. Breathing out, in as you circle round. Good. Out, in as you circle round. Keep those shoulders relaxed. Good. And if your feet are on the floor, then you're literally just lengthening one leg away, coming back, foot onto the mat, lengthening the other leg away, back onto the mat. The arms go, both arms, one leg. Good. Keeping that pressure down on that marshmallow, that 2p coin. Let's do a couple more on either side. Last 2. And 1. Good, well done. Okay, float one leg to the mat, bring the other one down, relax your arms, and then just lengthen one leg at a time. Take both arms up above your head. Breathe in, have a big stretch, fingertips and toes away from one another. And as you breathe out, relax down, heavy into the mat. So breathing in, lengthening away, and out, heavy onto the mat. Good, one more time, big breath in. And relax. Good, well done. So bring your arms back by your side. Float one leg up, bring the other one back onto the mat. So again, 2 levels for this one. If you don't want to load through your spine too much, feet and knees together with your feet on the floor. Okay, so if you don't want to lift your legs up to that tabletop position and keep the load less on your back, feet and knees together, feet on the floor. Shoulders down, neck nice and long, come down onto that marshmallow, that 2p coin. And with this one, you will get that rotation through your spine, so you'll increase the pressure with your feet on the floor, sorry, so only for your feet, for both levels, 1 with your feet on the floor and 2 on tabletop, you will rotate your spine side to side, but what we don't want is for you to arch through the lower back, so make sure that spine stays nice and long. Think about sucking that belly button down towards the spine, okay? Now if you're happy to come into that next level where we float the feet up to tabletop, then just make sure you come into that nice neutral position, neck, shoulders, down onto that marshmallow, and then from there, engage through the core muscles, breath in as you breathe out, float one leg to tabletop, and then bring the other up to join it. We're going to float both arms straight up towards the ceiling, keep the collarbones wide, shoulders relaxed away from your ears, and then we're going to bring arms wide. We're going to take both knees across to one side. We're going to keep the shoulders flat, legs where they are, hands come through to the centre, and then we bring the knees back through to the centre. So arms wide, knees across to the opposite side you went last time, hands to the centre, knees to the centre. So you're just making sure that you only go as far as you can control. So when your arms come to the centre, you're not lifting the shoulders or feeling wobbly and feeling like your knees are wanting to go to the floor. So if you go too far, then you won't be able to bring your hands up with control. And if your feet are on the floor, same principle, arms wide, roll the knees across to one side, keep the shoulders flat, hands to the centre, knees to the centre. So arms wide, knees across to the side, hands to the centre, knees to the centre. So there's less load through the spine, but you're still working through those oblique abdominals, those rotational abdominals, to control that movement and getting a little bit of opening up through the spine. Keep breathing. So the correct breathing for this, I don't mind, as long as you're breathing, I'm happy, but with this is, as you move your arms, you breathe in, as you move your legs, you breathe out. Arms breathe in, legs breathe out. Keep that control, make sure you're not arching through that lower spine. Shoulders relaxed. One more, or enough to equal you up on both sides. Good. And if your feet and knees are already up, then just hug those knees in towards your chest. If your feet are on the floor, bring one knee up to your chest, then bring the other in. Just have a little hug of those knees towards your chest. And then hands on knees and just your big circle of those knees over your chest. Good. And back the other way. Good. Hug in again. And then lower one leg down and bring the other one down to join it. Good. Okay. So we're going to come onto our front and just have a nice stretch out. So onto all fours. And we're just going to come into your cat-cow stretch to start with. So hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips, nice long spine, core switched on. We're going to roll chin to chest, lift your breastbone up, lift your belly button up. Imagine you've got a tail, tuck it between your legs, big curl through the spine, breathing in, and then you're going to lift the tail, lower belly button, lower breastbone. Just draw a line forward with your nose. And again, breathing out, curling through. Breathing in, lengthening through the front, shortening through the back. One more time. Good, well done. And then lengthen all the way through the spine. And then from here, I'm going to get you just to bring your left leg in between your hands. And then I want you to just rest your left elbow onto your left knee. And you're just going to push that knee forward over the toes. Keep the heel flat, and you should feel, if you need to, you can bring that leg back slightly. You should feel a stretch for the lower part of that left calf. So just feeling like you're stretching out that lower part of the calf. And it's a bit of the leg that we kind of tend to forget about a little bit. So just stretching through there. Really important for our balance and our control, our posture. Good, well done. Okay, and then from there, just relax off. I'm going to bring that hand, done it again, haven't I? Bring that leg slightly forward in between your hands again. And then if you're comfortable too, you're just going to pop your hands onto your knee. I want you to come up into a high kneeling position. And from there, I want you to think about tucking that tailbone down. So really lengthening down through the back. Push your right hip forward. Come up nice and tall through the spine. You should feel a stretch through the front of the hip on this right leg. So you're going to push forward. You can rest onto your hands. And you should feel that through here. If you feel like you want to increase the stretch, then you can bring your heel up towards your bottom. But make sure you don't arch through that lower back or sink off of that hip. You still want to push the hip forward and lengthen down through the tailbone. Good. One more breath in there. And then if that foot's lifted, just lower down. I'm going to lengthen the left leg out in front. Chest forward towards your thigh. Keep that knee slightly soft, and you should feel a stretch through the back of the left thigh. So you're going to stick your sitting bones kind of out towards the opposite wall behind you. Chest forward towards the thigh. Feeling that stretch through the back there. Well done. And then gently bring your hands forward again, either side of your left foot. If you feel it's kind of open to you, then bring that knee back slightly. And then from there, you're going to place the right hand onto the mat, and we're going to bring the left hand out and up towards the ceiling. Keep the shoulders away from your ears, and just open up through the spine, through the chest. Try and keep your left knee in towards the centre. So make sure it's not pointing out towards the wall next to you. Good, and then gently coming back down onto the mat. I'm going to bring that left knee underneath you again. And then from there, we're going to bring the right foot up. And we're just going to focus on that little muscle at the back of the calf. So rest onto your knee, push your toes, your knee forward over your toes. It's going to be one of those days, isn't it? And you should feel that stretch through the lower calf. So if you need to bring that foot closer in, that's absolutely fine. Or even if you want to do it on standing and rest, putting your foot onto a chair, then you can do it that way as well. It just, it's a nice stretch for that lower calf. Good, just hold it for one more breath. And then from there, bring that foot in between your hands. And then we're going to rest your hands onto your thigh. We're going to imagine you've got a tail, tuck it between your legs. So you push the left hip forward, up nice and tall. You should feel that opening stretch to the front of the left hip. And just really make sure you suck that belly button in towards your spine, lengthen through and feel that stretch. And if you want to feel more of a stretch, then you can just come up into that heel to bottom as well, but make sure that doesn't cause you to arch or come out of like that nice position through that pelvis. Good. Keep that good stretch just for another couple of breaths. And then gently relax down. We're going to lengthen that right leg out in front, stick your sitting bones out back to the wall behind you, chest down towards your thigh, feel the stretch through the back of the right thigh, and again hold and breathe. One more breath in there, and then gently soften that knee, come forward over that front leg, bring the back leg back slightly if you're comfortable to. Hands either side of your foot, you're going to plant your left hand, bring your right hand out to the side, maybe up towards the ceiling. It's fine if you just come to the side. That's fine if you're happy to come up a little bit further. Try and keep your right knee pointing forward or staying in midline rather than wanting to come out to the side. Good, a couple more breaths in there. And then gently coming back down onto the mat. And you're going to bring that leg back underneath you. From there, I'm just going to get you to take your knees wide, keep your feet together or toes together, and I want you to sit back onto your heels, walk those fingertips forward, breastbone and forehead come down towards the mat, and just opening it up through the back of the hips, lower back, shoulders. And just take 3 big breaths in there, really allowing that air to come down towards into the lower ribs. So big opening through the lower ribs. As you breathe in, as you breathe out, allow those ribs to soften back down again. And then gently coming back up onto all fours, and then we're going to come into a downward dog. So just work into it really gently, do what you feel is comfortable to you, don't push through anything that you don't like, and if you'd rather leave this out and do a different stretch, then that's absolutely fine. Shoulders away from your ears, you're going to just gently come up onto the toes on one leg and then on the other, and gently coming up, bring your sitting bones up towards the opposite wall, and just gently lift and lower through heels, alternating sides, and just taking a little walk in that position, just loosening it off through the back of the legs, and then when you're ready to, just allow the heels to drop down towards the mat. They might not go anywhere near the mat, but that's fine. Just work with what you're comfortable with. Make sure those shoulders stay away from your ears, and you're lifting those sitting bones up and back. One more breath in there. And then just nice and slowly soften the knees and walk the feet forward towards your hands, or if you want, rather come down onto your knees and then come into standing, you can come into standing, but walking forward so you're into that forward fold. And then again, I want you to soften the knees and slowly, with control, roll the spine up. Coming all the way through into that nice tall standing position. And once you're there, just bring your feet together. Come up nice and tall through the spine. I just want you to take 3 nice big deep breaths, and as you breathe in, I want you to imagine that spine lengthening through the back of the spine, through the crown of the head, and as you breathe out, relax your shoulders down, keep that length through the spine. One more time. Good, nice work. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that nice stretch out. So just lots of movement and trying to loosen everything up and keep moving. I hope that will set you up for the day, and I shall see you next time. Well done. Bye.